So picture this. You're driving along some dusty back road in the middle of nowhere. Your GPS is glitching, there's no signal, and the last gas station you passed had a tumbleweed blowing through it. But right when you're about to turn around, you see it. An old sign, rusted, tilted. It says, "Welcome to," and then nothing. No buildings, no people, just open land where a town should have been. You didn't just miss the exit. That town is gone, erased, like someone hit delete. In today's episode, we're digging into 10 real American towns that were literally wiped off the map, flooded, buried, nuked, bought out, or straight up ghosted. And some of these stories? Yeah, they'll make you wonder what your hometown's future looks like. Let's kick things off with one of the most famous vanishing acts in American history. Back in the early 1960s, Centralia was your typical small coal town in Pennsylvania. Tight-knit, working class, and built right on top of a massive coal mine, which of course someone accidentally set on fire. How? Oh, by burning trash in an abandoned strip mine? Smart. That fire spread into the underground coal seams and never stopped. It's been burning since 1962. The ground cracked open, sinkholes swallowed backyards, carbon monoxide levels skyrocketed, and one day, a 12-year-old literally fell into a hole in the ground that almost cooked him alive. The government stepped in, bought everyone out, and declared it unsafe. The zip code was revoked. Today, only a handful of residents remain, and the rest of Centralia, gone. Just steam vents and eerie silence. Northern California has a strange little secret sitting under the waters of Shasta Lake, a ghost town called Kennet. Once a bustling mining town in the early 1900s, Kennett had schools, hotels, railroads, and saloons. But when the federal government decided to build Shasta Dam in the 1930s, the town was sacrificed to make way for the reservoir. By 1944, the rising waters swallowed everything. Houses, rail tracks, even cemeteries. But here's the creepy part. When the lake levels drop during a drought, parts of Kennett resurface. Foundations, rusty debris, and a church bell that still rings underwater. In the 1980s, Times Beach, Missouri was a working-class town near St. Louis that seemed perfectly normal, until the government found out it was sitting on toxic soil. Years earlier, a local waste hauler had been spraying the town's roads with oil to keep the dust down, which sounds helpful, except the oil was mixed with dioxin, one of the most toxic chemicals known to man, the same stuff found in Agent Orange. After heavy flooding in 1982, the contamination spread. The EPA swooped in and said, "Yeah, everyone out. Like, now." The entire town was evacuated, razed to the ground, and officially wiped from the map. Today, it's a state park, with 0 residents and a very dark past buried beneath the trails. If the name Picher doesn't ring a bell, that's probably because this town tried really, really hard to disappear. Picher was once a booming lead and zinc mining hub. During World War I and II, it helped supply a quarter of all the bullets used by the US military. But all that mining came at a cost. The ground underneath the town became dangerously unstable, filled with massive sinkholes. Even worse, the leftover mining waste, called chat, was everywhere. In schoolyards, on playgrounds. Kids were literally playing in toxic lead dust. By 2006, the government stepped in, declared the entire town unsafe, and started buying people out. Tornadoes later ripped through what was left. Today, Picher is empty, just abandoned buildings and poisoned dirt. This one feels straight out of a horror movie. Back in the early 1900s, a businessman named William Coyne Harvey built a fancy health resort in the Ozark Mountains. Think Roman-style bathhouses, a massive amphitheater, and lakeside luxury. But the dream didn't last. The area fell into decline, and in the 1960s, the government built Beaver Lake, which swallowed Monte Ne whole. Today, scuba divers explore the submerged ruins, and during extreme droughts, parts of the resort reappear like a haunted invitation to come back. You might have heard this name in environmental science class, or maybe a horror story. Love Canal started as a dream suburb in Niagara Falls. White picket fences, good schools, friendly neighbors. But beneath the surface, Literally 20,000 tons of toxic chemical waste buried by Hooker Chemical Company years before the houses were built. The chemicals started seeping up into basements, yards, and even schools. Kids got sick, birth defects skyrocketed, people reported their feet burning after walking through puddles. In 1978, President Carter declared a federal emergency and families were evacuated. Today, Love Canal is still a symbol of environmental disaster, and the original neighborhood, bulldozed, forever gone. Shawneetown was once one of Illinois' most important towns. We're talking older than Chicago. But it made one major mistake. It was built right next to the Ohio River. In 1937, a massive flood wiped it out. Locals tried rebuilding. The government begged them to relocate. They refused. Then came the final flood. The town was flattened. The survivors gave up, and Shawneetown was moved several miles inland. The original location? A soggy ghost town overrun by vines and wildlife. Vanport was the second largest city in Oregon in the 1940s, built in a rush during World War II to house shipyard workers, many of them Black Americans escaping segregation in the South. But this city on speed had a flaw. It was built below the waterline, between the Columbia River and a man-made levee. On May 30th, 1948, the levee broke, and within 45 minutes, the entire city was underwater. People had no warning. Nearly 18,000 residents were displaced and 15 people died. Vanport never recovered. Today, there's no trace of it left, just a historical marker and a whole lot of ghosts. Ever heard of a ghost town that was built to be charming? Johnsonville was a quaint little mill village that thrived in the 1800s, complete with a covered bridge, chapel, and general store. But in the 1960s, it was bought by a wealthy industrialist who wanted to turn it into a tourist attraction. The plan flopped. Ownership changed hands multiple times, lawsuits piled up, and eventually the town was just left. Now it sits behind a gate surrounded by trees, slowly decaying. Technically, it still exists, but functionally, Johnsonville has vanished into history. St. Thomas has had 2 deaths. First, it was abandoned in the 1800s when it accidentally ended up on the wrong side of the Nevada-Utah border. Oops. Then, in the 1930s, it was flooded by the rising waters of Lake Mead after the Hoover Dam was built. St. Thomas was evacuated, and the water came in fast. Some say the last resident left by canoe out of his front door. Today, Lake Mead's shrinking water levels have revealed the town again. You can walk through the ruins of homes, a school, and even an old ice cream parlor. Like time travel, if your time machine only goes to the middle of the desert. So, there you have it. 10 towns across America that were literally erased. Some were poisoned, others drowned, a few were buried on purpose, but all of them share one thing in common. They vanished, and most people don't even know they were ever there. It makes you wonder, how many more places like this are hiding under lakes, buried in forests, or sitting quietly behind no trespassing signs? And what your town might look like 100 years from now. Creepy, right? If you like this kind of rabbit hole, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next eerie episode. And don't forget, always check what's buried beneath your feet.